That's
friendly
what we're going to find out.
handshake.
Yeah.
And you look at Tom Genzman's sleeves there. That's the Liz Nugent Creature Collection Beast sleeve. The beast being a turtle, and it's on a sandy beach crushing a sandcastle with a bunch of tiny crabs. And thematically very similar to the GP Miami playmat we mentioned earlier in trivia time. Todd Anderson with normal purple sleeves. Serving him well though. Here he is. 2 weeks later, after Baltimore, he is in yet another Legacy Open Finals. So
2 and 3 weeks?
This is like number 52. He's getting closer to the magic number of 70. Nothing matters until you get to 70 top 8s in the Open Series.
Nothing in the world matters until 70.
So it looks like the players are ready. They put away the deck list. They're finishing shuffling up. Todd Anderson, Deathblade, Tom Genzman, Blue, White, Red Delver. And I think that Geist of St. Traft and the main deck of Tom's deck is going to be huge here. Not only because of the clock it can represent, but because we've seen Todd Anderson after sideboard bring in his own Geist and really take control of games with the damage potential of that card. Tom's going to have 3 ready answers for that already in his main deck, able to legend rule them out.
It's kind of funny where people have kind of forgotten, it's crazy to say this, people have kind of forgotten how good Geist of St. Traft is. Do you remember last year how we were all complaining about Geist of St. Traft and the ridiculous lengths you have to go through to be able to deal with that card? And now it's kind of surfacing up Legacy and we're just kind of going, man, that's really good. Yeah. Of course it's really good. It's Geist of St. Traft. Are you kidding me? And every time Todd boards it in, and he finds a situation to play it in, his opponent has to drastically adjust to what they're doing to be able to try to beat it because the card is so good.
And it's so different from everything else that Todd Anderson's doing. That hexproof ability, really messing with opponents. Legacy has so much targeted removal.
Yeah.
And then the Singleton Caracas that Todd has, the ability to protect the Geist of St. Traft.
Yeah,
making it even more difficult.
And certainly one of the interactions that you didn't have in Standard that you have in Legacy is being able to protect it with Caracas. You know, not going to come up a ton, but it comes up enough for it to be relevant. We've already seen it happen at least once this weekend, and we'll see if it's going to happen again. As we are going to have our finals match underway for you guys shortly. If you guys are just joining us, I know we've got about 6,000 viewers at home right now. We do appreciate you guys hanging out with us late this evening. I know you guys have a lot of choices. We appreciate you guys sticking with Ricky and I. We're here in Columbus. We're the last ones here at the Origins Game Fair. They want to kick us out, but we're not going anywhere. We're staying in this convention center until we crown a Legacy champion and do a winner's interview. You guys can join us on Twitter at SCG Live. Hashtag your tweets, SCGCOL. We've got one more round to go. These players are going to start just as soon as they're ready, and Todd Anderson is going to get the show started with the Marsh Flats.
Kicking things off, we've seen him do this before. Turn 1, fetch land. This time for a Tundra. So usually it's a black source, so you can go Thoughtseize. But now he gets the blue source for Ponder.
The one of Ponder.
So Creeping Tar Pit, Abrupt Decay, and a Misty Rainforest. Leaves them on top, and he draws that abrupt decay, yeah, against the blue, white, red Delver deck. Removal spell, perfectly fine, unless it's Geist of St. Traft.
Now again, Todd has access, as does Genzman, to the player's deck list. So he knows that Genzman has Stifle in his deck, just like Tenjum did last round. And how is he going to play around it? Because you saw Genzman lead off with just a land and pass the turn representing Stifle and opting not to cast a Ponder or a Brainstorm or a Delver of Secrets. And now here's a Ponder.
That's very interesting. Yeah, both Andrew Tenjum and Tom Genzman have done that now. Turn 1, play a land, do nothing. And it's very suspicious when a Delver deck does that because they have so many options on turn 1. Delver of Secrets, Ponder, Brainstorm.
And it's even more suspicious too when you know that the Delver player has access to so many stifles. And now you're going to see Genzman is going to sacrifice his Flooded Strand. Maybe he's just going to stifle with that. And you saw Todd is actually activating the fetch land in Genzman's upkeep, so he actually has to commit a mana on his own turn to stifle this.
So here, yeah, on turn 3, Todd Anderson is potentially locking Tom out of being able to cast a Geist of St. Traft on schedule on turn 3. Heads up play. He will gladly lose that land. He's probably got plenty more where that came from.
And one of the reasons I just don't love Stifle in these Rug Delver decks is that a skilled Legacy player is just able to make their way around and through it.
You can smell it in the water.
Yeah, it's really not hard to sniff out and realize that they have it, and it really shouldn't ever be a game-winning effect. Now, the only difference here is that in Genzman's deck, I actually like it quite a bit because he has Snapcaster Mage. So if he's going to be on a mana denial strategy, as you see him Wastelanding and Tundra, he's going to be on a mana denial strategy. He can actually Snapcaster Stifle, blow out another fetch land, and then finish you off with Geist of St. Traft. So in his deck, I actually like it quite a bit. And Todd is going to Wasteland right on back.
And you often see this in Legacy, dueling Wastelands. This is now turn 4 for Todd Anderson. All he has is a Creeping Tar Pit. Tom Genzman's going to draw. He has a Volcanic Island, and he's going to play Ponder, looking for some more lands after that Wasteland Fest.
Now, a good feeling, I think, here is that, you know, if your opponent is pondering for lands, you're probably pretty happy, as opposed to them pondering for spells. Genzman actually able to find a land here. He's going to keep with Ponder, draw a Tundra, put that right into play off the top of the deck. See if he has anything else to do this turn.
That is a lot of burn in Tom's hand. Those are lightning bolts, the full art foil promo versions.
Spell Pierce going to take care of the Umezawa's Jite that Anderson is trying to establish. Genzman's going to draw another land. Does he have a Geist of St. Traft?
Now, Todd Anderson did not have a creature there, but still important to Spell Pierce that Jite because of what it can do if Todd does get a creature.
He does not have a Geist as Genzman draws a Swords of Plowshares, so he's drawing a lot of reactive elements. You see his hand, multiple Lightning Bolts, Swords of Plowshares, and a Force of Will that I'm not sure he has a blue card for. So a lot of reactive things going on here for Genzman.
Todd is perfectly happy playing this game. Delver deck with no creature on the board so far, has not established a presence.
Another fetch land just passes.
He's got the mana for that Jace the Mind Sculptor, but looks like he's playing around Spell Pierce here. Now Tom's going to go digging again with another Ponder. This one, the Corset version by Dan Scott, foil. Takes a look. We've got a Scalding Tarn. Some other cards. He leaves them on top of his library. Draws one of them. It's a Brainstorm. So now he's got that Brainstorm coupled with the Force of Will.
But a lot of reactive elements right now for Genzman.
Needs to find a creature. Delver deck needs to have a creature on the board.
And the fetch land is going to resolve. You see how Todd was pretty deliberate with that too, saying, all right, you have a Stifle for this one, which Genzman does not. Now Todd senses it's okay to cast a Stoneforge Mystic. Try to get his Batterskull in line.
Sure, we saw the Umezawa's Jite get countered earlier by a Spell Pierce, so Batterskull is the only other equipment left in Todd's deck. Tom Genzman lets this resolve, lets the trigger resolve.
He's got a lot of answers for Stoneforge, though.
Sure, we're going to see a bolt here, yeah, most certainly.
That'll take care of it. But Todd's gotten what he's won out of it, right? He's gotten his Batterskull to his hand, so that's step one of many to get through all of this removal that Genzman has.
And Todd has been sitting on those Jace the Mind Sculptors. He's got two of them in his hand. Very patient, very deliberate, not running them out there. He knows that Tom Genzman's deck is packing both counter spells and burn spells that could be trouble for Jace.
So, gonna sacrifice a Flood Strand. See what Genzman's gonna search out here.
It's another Tundra. Cast a Brainstorm. Daze. Geist, there's the Geist.
Finally shows up. And a Wasteland. Yeah, I'd say this is a pretty important decision about what to put back and how to set up these next couple of turns.
If you're Tom Genzman, you know that Todd Anderson has a Batterskull in his hand, searched up by that Stoneforge Mystic. So you have to take that into consideration for your next play. He wants to get that Geist of St. Traft on the board. Currently no creatures on either side, so a lot of damage potential from the Geist of St. Traft.
You see him wondering, alright, am I supposed to go for this now?
Thinking, is this the tournament right here? Can I win this? Can I win this game one? Take the serve away from Todd Anderson. Fetches up a Volcanic Island. He's gonna go for it here. Geist of St. Traft.
With a little Force of Will backup.
Todd Anderson goes to his life pad. He's gonna cast Force of Will, exiling Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yep.
Tom Genzman's got a Force of Will of his own. He's gonna think about it though. Make sure this is the play you want to make. Is this the card you want to fight over? He says no.
He decides it's not. Wow.
I'm a little shocked here. Why would he not want to fight over that? Is it because of that creeping tar pit?
I don't know. He's got Force of Will and Daze. I'm shocked that he did not fight over this. I think this is the one thing that you do want to fight over in this matchup.
I mean, he's got Lightning Bolts and Swords to Plowshares. He can clear the way for the Geist of St. Traft of any creatures. I'm shocked. Like, even if Todd Anderson lands a Jace here and he's going to go for the Jace, now you have to counter the Jace. Like, if he didn't use the Force right there, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
And he does. So, yeah, he could have used the Force of Will to protect the Geist of St. Traft. Even if Todd Anderson slams down a Jace, Geist can get in there with the Angel token and just kill Jace.
And you saw Todd pull the trigger on the Jace because he's thinking, all right, well, for Force of Will, if he didn't have Force of Will to protect his Geist, my Jace is probably good to go.
Kind of juked him there.
Yeah. Now he's going to play a Deathrite Shaman.
Deathrite Shaman. That's not going to last long on this board with what we know in Tom's hand. I'm still trying to figure out why he would not want to protect the Geist. It seems like that is one of the best cards in this matchup, especially game one here, where you know Todd does not have his Geist from the sideboard.
Genzman's going to establish a Grim Lavamancer, and you see he's trying to figure out which removal spell to use, and if it's even worth it to kill Deathrite Shaman. But it looks like he's he's reaching for a Wasteland, figuring out how he wants to break up Todd's mana. He's going to take down.
Go for the Tundra. Takes away his only white source right now.
And is he going to take down the Deathrite Shaman? Swords of Plowshares says yes, he is.
Yes, it is, and that's a heavily altered Swords of Plowshares. Extended Arc, very nice.
Alright, Todd's going to untap. Draw. Genzman with one card left in his hand, a Lightning Bolt and a Grim Lavamancer on the table. Caracas, the draw step for Todd. And there's your Batterskull.
Batterskull. So is that why Tom didn't fight over the Geist of St. Traft? Because of the Batterskull? But he's got Swords to Plowshares. He can clear the path of that Germ token.
Here's a Brainstorm. Swords to Plowshares, Force of Will, and a Stifle are the cards drawn. So two are going to have to go back for Genzman. And again, going to have to plan out these next couple of turns here because he does not have a fetch land to make these go away.
So another Stifle here at some point. Probably going to use it on the Batterskull. Batterskull's return ability. If that Germ dies, Todd Anderson's going to try to reset the Batterskull, pay 3, return it to his hand. And Tom Genzman could use a Stifle to kind of time walk him there, mini time walk. So he's Lavamancer now active. Tom Genzman with plenty of cards in his graveyard. Todd has not had the opportunity to establish a Deathrite Shaman activations going. So a lot of damage there in 2-point packets and Grim Lavamancer down the road.
Yeah, and does have the tools to get rid of the germ token. Draw a card, Vendilion Click, so in for 4. Yeah, we're gonna say I don't think so. Source of Plowshare is that token.
Okay, see ya. Todd's gonna gain the 4 life gladly.
Yeah.
Pass the turn.
Happy to pass it back. Lavamancer activation, and is it time to Abrupt Decay this thing? That's the question. Because he's got Abrupt Decay, he's got Source of Plowshares that he can cast off of Caracas, and he's got Vendilion Click, and I think we're going to see him point and click the Decay. At least it feels that way. Yep.
He does do that. And yeah, taps his mana for Abrupt Decay, says Ghost. That's the other 3 aside. Is he going to go for the draw step Vendilion Click? Yes, he does.
But the shields are down. No Caracas to protect it. And you see Genzman drew a Lightning Bolt for the turn, already had a Stifle in his hand.
I've seen multiple players make this mistake, not taking the opportunity to kill a legendary creature when Caracas is down. Tom, you got to use that Lightning Bolt right here, right?
Yeah, I think you have to take it down. Yeah, I think he
picks up his Volcanic Island.
Maybe he misspoke. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so he's going to Lightning Bolt that.
They were confirming who the trigger was targeting. It says, okay, click resolves, trigger targeting you. In response, I'll Lightning Bolt. Todd looks at the Stifle, says you can keep that.
Yeah, predictably lets him keep that.
Yeah, so the Stifle most likely going to be used on that Batterskull to keep it from returning to the hand, but that's only going to buy Tom 1 turn here. Inevitability building for Todd Anderson. The Batterskull eventually going to be able to reset.
It'll take a little while, but it will get there. It'll force a Will to draw. Alright, picked it up.
Yeah, he's going to let him pick it up because Todd Anderson has 6 mana available there. He's going to choose to Stifle the comes into battlefield.
Well, he just drew a Force of Will, so he should just force this. Yeah, just remove the Stifle. So he's going to counter. It doesn't have a 5th land to actually pay for Force of Will.
Unfortunately. Otherwise he could have kept the Stifle.
Yeah. So now here's Deathrite Shaman versus Genzman, who has no cards in his hand and draws a Delver of Secrets. So Todd does have a he has a Swords in his hand, and I think we're going to see him take care of this, start activating the Tar Pit, and let's get this game over with. You see him separate his mana too. 3 for the Tar Pit, 1 for the Swords, and then the Deathrite Shaman activation.
And that's a very important thing that you see players like Todd do, is make sure that they are tapping the right lands so that they can do the other plays that they want to make down the line.
So he's able to actually attack with Deathrite and the Tar Pit, Swords the Delver, play another Deathrite Shaman, pass the turn back. And it just makes it so that Genzman is going to have to draw a very good set of cards off the top of his deck moving forward. So Anderson reaches immediately towards that Creeping Tar Pit, make sure he has the mana that he wants to so that he can activate Deathrite Shaman appropriately, and the Tar Pits, you see him moving around all of the mana before he gets moving in here. See, the thing about Todd is he plays at a pretty fast pace.
But he thinks through his plays.
Yes. And Snapcaster Mage off the top here for Genzman. That'll change a little bit of stuff, but actually it doesn't really do too much because Todd just has Deathrite Shaman for whatever he's going to target. You target Lightning Bolt? Alright, get rid of that. So, if what I thought at first was actually going to be a pretty relevant draw actually ends up not being a relevant draw at all. And he can't even block because Creeping Tar Pit is unblockable. And really, why wouldn't Deathrite Shaman be able to blank Snapcaster Mage? Does everything else.
I mean, Deathrite Shaman is the best invitational card ever printed, right? I don't even know whose invitational card it is.
Somebody's on there.
Some dude. I think it's time shifted from the future. It's a future invitational card. So whoever that looks like, you are going to win an invitational someday, sir.
You see Genzman is drawing a Force of Will. Anderson is activating the tar pit again, coming in, putting the 4. We're going to see 1 activation and 2.
Drain.
Todd Anderson's going to win game number 1 here over Tom Genzman. Deathblade up 1 over blue, white, red Delver. As we are going to cut back to the booth here because it is time to give away 12 months of premium, my friends. Wow, what a marathon affair we have.
That's
here.
a full year.
That is a full year. And this one, you know, I'm almost embarrassed because this question is so easy. I am.
Okay.
I'm embarrassed a little bit, but it's late.
I don't think you're embarrassed.
It's late. I'm in a good mood. I'm having some fun commentating Magic. We got some awesome matches happening. So, get to your computers. Open up your Twitter. Get ready.
Get your phones.
Get your phones if you're on your iPads, your devices, whatever you use for the Twitter. Hashtag
Google Glass?
I don't know what that is. Hashtag SCG Premium. With the answer to this question, we will draw 1 winner from the people who do get it correct. Again, we will announce the winner of this after the finals here, and we crown ourselves a champion. The question is, Grand Prix Miami, 2 weeks away. I'm commentating with Osip Lobodovich and Patrick Sullivan. This guy's working, scorekeeping in some capacity on the computer, but there's a tournament to be played there that weekend. He's still scorekeeping. What is the format of Grand Prix Miami? Tweet your answer, hashtag SCG Premium. It's a real easy one. So you should be ashamed. I wasn't gonna say ashamed. You should be ashamed if you get this question wrong. You should be.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say it. It's true. It's super easy. Hashtag your answer, SCG Premium. We'll announce our winner after the finals. So we're gonna cut back to the match, and we're gonna go after the sideboards.
Okay, so I don't know. I kind of want to look at Todd Anderson's sideboard first because he has brought in these Geist, St. Traps.
Oh, they're coming in again.
Consistently. Absolutely, they're coming in.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Tom has Geists of his own, so at the very least, Legend ruling them out. What else can he bring in here? We saw him bring in the 2 Supreme Verdicts against Andrew Tenjum's Rug Delver deck.
I think those are coming in again as well. Again, he just wants as many answers to Geist of St. Traft and Delver's Secrets as he can get, and Supreme Vert does a nice job of that. And Geist of St. Traft is going to Legend rule Genzman's Geist of St. Traft, so I think those 5 cards are almost certainly joining us.
What does he take out? That's the question here.
Yeah, that's
this
been the
deck
hard
is
part.
so tight. Everything, as you say, working together in concert. What is the worst card in this matchup for Todd Anderson?
I think the worst card is the worst card that's in his main deck, which is Detention Sphere. I think that one's an easy cut.
That's a 1. You still need 4 more cards if you want to bring in those 5 blue-white cards.
I'm looking.
Thoughtseize?
Yeah, that's the one I was looking towards too, is maybe Thoughtseize. Maybe you cut that one Ponder. Maybe you cut the Force of Wills, because Force of Wills, you don't really want to 2-for-1 yourself against this Delver deck, and he's got 3 of those. So I wouldn't be surprised to see those leave.
Yeah, and there's no real haymakers in Tom Genzman's deck. There's no Jace the Mind Sculptor, which you absolutely cannot let resolve. Geist of St. Traft is probably the closest thing, but if you bring in 3 Geists of your own and 2 Supreme Verdicts, you have some answers that are 1-for-1 answers, or 2-for-1 if you catch some other creatures with Supreme Verdict. So yeah, I think the Force of Wills might be coming out. 3 Force of Wills, 1 Detention Sphere, 2 Thoughtseize. That's 6 cards, so he might be able to bring something else in as well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Thomas Genzman.
2 Leyline of Sanctity, 1 Rest in Peace, 1 Disenchant, 1 Engineer Explosives, 1 Spell Pierce, 1 Vendilion Click, 1 additional Geist of St. Traft, bringing him up to 4, a Force of Will, 3 Surgical Extraction, and 3 Pyroblast. So we actually have the old sideboard up there on the screen. That's the Rug sideboard. So I'll go over this one more time for you guys. 2 Leyline of Sanctity, 1 Rest in Peace, 1 Disenchant, 1 Engineered Explosives, 1 Spell Pierce, 1 Vendilion Click, 1 Geist of St. Traft, 1 Force of Will, 3 Surgical Extraction, and 3 Pyroblast. Of course, none of these cards stand out as cards that are going to really help you a ton in the Esper Deathblade matchup, again, because, well, it's a card that's really going to swing this matchup in your favor in a big way with how varied the threats are here. But I do like the idea behind Disenchant to be able to take care of the equipment. I like the idea behind Engineer Explosives because Todd has a lot of 2s. I like Vendilion Click. I like the idea of having 4 Geist of St. Traft because it's your best card in the matchup. Other than that, however, I don't love Pyroblast. I don't love Surgical Extraction, Force of Will. So I don't think he has any cards that really change things in a big direction. I think Genzman needs to realize that Geist of St. Traft is your moneymaker. You gotta draw it, you gotta get it in play, and you gotta get that thing attacking.
Yeah, we saw in game 1, Tom Genzman went for the Geist of St. Traft after he did some pondering and brainstorming to set up his draws, and then Force of Will from Todd Anderson, and Tom Genzman had a Force of Will in his hand, and he did not counter back.
Yeah.
And that was probably the turning point of game number 1. Tom Genzman had an opportunity to establish a Geist of St. Traft, which would have been an overwhelming presence at that point.
Yeah. Really would have turned the game around, and you know, that's the one thing that Genzman needs to realize in these next sideboarding games if he wants to win this tournament and defeat Todd Anderson, is that Geist of St. Traft, that's my best card in this matchup. There's nothing that does what that card does in this matchup. Yes, Todd has his own to be able to kill mine, but I got to get this thing established, and I got to protect it. I got to use Force of Wills to make sure it stays in play and get the things out of the way to make sure it keeps hitting Anderson and gets him dead. Just that's what needs to be done.
I wish we could slide into an alternate universe where Tom Genzman had fought over that Geist of St. Traft with Force of Will and seen how that game would have played out.
Yeah.
It would have played out completely differently. We don't know if Tom still would have won on the back of that Geist, but it would have been very, very different.
Yes. Tom's going to start off with a Scalding Tarn and a Flooded Strand. You see his hand, he's got a Disenchant, a Stifle, a Swords of Plowshares, and he does have a Geist of St. Traft as Anderson draws a Supreme Verdict for the turn, plays a Flooded Strand, and passes back.
So Supreme Verdict at the very least did come in.
Genzman draws another Stifle, and is he going to slam down the Geist of St. Traft that is in his hand that I'm fairly sure I identified? And there you see it in the middle.
Fetch lands. 3 fetch lands on the board, but Todd Anderson with a fetch land of his own, enticing Tom to leave a mana open for Stifle, right?
Yep. That's exactly what he's doing. He's basically enticing Tom to say, "Hey, I got a fetch land here, so why don't you leave that Stifle up a little bit longer? Because I don't want to play against Geist of St. Traft yet." And he's going to sacrifice 1 and 2 and 3. All right.
He's going to shortcut, get all 3 lands here. Todd does not have Stifle, but he's going to respond with Brainstorm.
Hit 1.
It's possible that Tom
Hit 2.
already announced his Geist of St. Traft here. We don't know.
Yeah.
Todd Anderson is brainstorming, most likely in response to Geist of St. Traft being announced, and possibly looking to see if he has a Geist of his own waiting in the wings.
Or if he wants to sacrifice 2 right now to get by these Stifles, so is Genzman gonna let Anderson do that and search out a scrub land? Alright, so after all the dust settles, Genzman's gonna be at 17, Anderson at 19. Both players are gonna shuffle each other's decks. And it looks like we're gonna see the old Geist of St. Traft come on down. Or will we?
I'm not sure. Not sure what just happened here.
I can't imagine that we don't.
Tom Genzman sacrificed all 3 of his fetch lands at the same time. Did he not announce a spell? Here he goes.
There we go, yeah. Alright, pass the turn back. You just have to make Todd have a Force of Will there, or his own Geist of St. Traft to kill this. That's all you have to do. And now Todd is going to sacrifice here this Flood Strand. I also like this, again, playing around Stifle. Get these lands out.
So we know Todd Anderson has that Supreme Verdict in hand. He needs to get to a 4th land. Tom Genzman does have access to Wastelands. He does have access to Stifles.
Now here is Dark Confidant just to try to get in the way of that Geist of St. Traft, but predictably
Tom's not going to have any of that.
Yeah, Swords of Plowshares. Get that thing out of the way. Let my Geist come on through.
But no Wasteland here.
Yeah.
That would have been a crucial play. If Tom had a Wasteland to set Todd back one more turn from playing that Supreme Verdict. Alright. Attack for 6. Anderson goes to 14. He gained 2 life off of the Swords to Plowshares. He untaps quickly. He's got the 4th land in hand, Underground Sea. He's going to slam down the Supreme Verdict. Get rid of that Geist of St. Traft. Uncounterable Wrath of God.
quickly just trading 1 for 1 there. Don't need to get greedy with the Supreme Verdict, which we saw the last match too against Tenjum, where Anderson just wrathed away a 1-1 Delver of Secrets and a 1-1 Nibble Mongoose. Don't get greedy, just get it off the table as Genzman draws a Wasteland one turn too late.
Wow. And that's Magic the Gathering. That's Magic the Gathering right there. 1 turn, 1 draw step too late to set Todd back, deal another 6 points of damage with Geist of St. Traft. Oh.
Now there goes the Tundra.
Goes for the Tundra.
Wants to cut the white sources off, which certainly makes sense.
But that creeping tar pit.
Yep.
We've seen it before. The singleton creeping tar pit just some point in the late game starts attacking for 3 over and over and over again.
So here's the Thoughtseize from Anderson. Disenchant and Double Stifle. Reactive cards.
Yeah, a little... Not very proud to reveal those right now. They don't do anything. And now Todd, seeing those cards, can play around them in the future. Plan for them.
He's going to lead off with a Brainstorm. So hit 1, and 2, and 3. Flooded Strand, Batterskull, and Stoneforge Mystic are the choices of the day.
So Todd Anderson gets rid of the Disenchant with Thoughtseize, and now he can set up Stoneforge Mystic, searching up... Well, which is it going to be?
Well, I think he's playing this knowing it's going to get stifled. Which I like this a lot, which is... he needs to just push through these stifles, and that's the point. So, and he drew a Batterskull off of, well, he saw Batterskull off of Brainstorm, so he knew that it was going to stifle.
Right.
So I absolutely love that play of like, all right, let's just push through stifle number 1, push through stifle number 2, then I resolve Batterskull, and then there's no coming back for you. So Genzman's going to reveal the top card of his deck. It's Red Elemental Blast, or excuse me, Pyroblast. It turns Delver into Insectile Aberration, and now Genzman's coming across for 3. Anderson at 9.
Right, so Todd Anderson, he saw the Batterskull off the Brainstorm, put it back, knowing he was going to cast Stoneforge Mystic in case Tom let the ability resolve. But instead, he's going to just naturally draw it here at some point.
You see, Anderson has an Abrupt Decay in his hand. Stifle? Or wait, there we go. Wasteland.
Yeah. We already knew that Stifle was there, so no information really gained.
So in for 3. Anderson's going to try to sacrifice this. He's going to put him down to 8. Stifle that. Which again, I think Todd knew was going to happen. You see his hand right now. He has a Flooded Strand, and he has an abrupt. He has a Marsh Flats and Abrupt Decay.
Now wait a minute, that Batterskull, there it is. He put it 2 down. So Todd Anderson sacrificed the Flooded Strand, knowing that the Batterskull was still on top of his library, baiting that Stifle.
He's going to put this into play right now because he knows Genzman's last card is a Pyroblast. Batterskull's in. Anderson's at 5. There's no way for him to die this turn.
I just want to... Todd Anderson sacrificed the Flooded Strand, knowing Batterskull is on top of his library. If Tom Genzman lets the Flooded Strand resolve, Batterskull would have been shuffled away.
Yeah.
That was a really ballsy play by Todd Anderson right there. Because he needs that Batterskull to establish a clock. He's got the Stoneforge Mystic in play. He snuck it out. He could... It could have just shuffled away, and we could be, 10 turns away from seeing that Batterskull again.
He's going to search for value. Searches for it now, so it doesn't get stifled. So now he has access to green and black lands. Going to shuffle his deck. He's got Deathrite at the ready. Genzman going to take the look at the top card of his deck again with just a Pyroblast in his hand. Yet again, another reactive element in this matchup. Does not hit with Delver of Secrets. Draws another Delver himself. Declining to shuffle Todd's deck and does just pass the turn back after playing a Delver. Todd going to activate the Deathrite, going to see what he wants to take with this, but he's going for the throat, going to remove the Swords to Plowshares.
He's going to reach across the land and drink Tom Genzman's milkshake with that life drain.
So in comes the Stoneforge. And the batter skull.
And the germ, yeah. 5 points of damage right there.
Yeah. Todd happy to pass the turn back. Double Delver activation. Ponder's going to flip them both. But again, Anderson is at 12 life.
So he can attack for 6 in the air, put Todd to 6, but he needs an answer to A, Deathrite Shaman, which is threatening lethal with 2 drain activations, and Todd's gonna use one right now in response to Ponder, just in case Tom draws into another Stifle. But there's also that Batter Skull that Tom has to deal with.
There's a Swords to Plowshares, and Swords can't take care of Batter Skull and Deathrite Shaman.
Can't deal with both of them.
But he has to, I believe, keep Swords so that he doesn't die.
He has to Swords the Deathrite Shaman. Oh, wait a minute. Attacking with both.
I'm gonna put Anderson down to 6. Yeah, and if he Swords the Batter Skull, then the Deathrite Shaman's gonna do it.
Says go. So is the other card in his hand there Stifle? No, it's Pyroblast.
Anderson just says activate this.
No.
And that's it.
Wow.
Todd Anderson, your Star City Games Open Series champion.
2 out of 3. He won in Baltimore 2 weeks ago, and now he wins here in Columbus, Ohio. Todd Anderson.